Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you in another video. All right, so about 5 days ago, one of my people in my comment section asked me to make a Jimmy Butler to Lakers video, and I'm just now seeing that Jimmy Butler could potentially be on the move right now, and it's a lot of talks about the list that he may have given the Miami Heat allegedly of teams he wanted to go to. The Lakers are not on it, but I just think those two things come together to allow for me to make a video right now. I told homie I would make the Jimmy to Laker video, but I just don't think that Jimmy's necessarily going to be coming to the Lakers. He didn't put the Lakers on his list. We do have some salary matches that can make it happen. I think we have a need for what Jimmy brings to the table. He would help our situation a lot. But I think that there will be other opportunities for the Miami Heat to maybe go after a different package that the Lakers, other than what the Lakers have, a better package maybe. Problem is, and this is a real problem, those three teams that Jimmy put on his list, I don't think it's in their best interest to move for Jimmy. Not necessarily because they couldn't fit Jimmy into whatever they have remaining, but because in order to get Jimmy, they're going to have to give up pieces that they probably don't want to give up, because the players that they have on salary don't necessarily line up for Miami. So that's what's going to get a little tricky for Jimmy. He put some teams on there that he want to go to. The problem is the salary matches for those teams are not good packages for the Miami Heat. So what you're likely going to have to do is throw in multiple picks for Jimmy. Maybe those teams are being inclined to do that. Maybe those teams are not. The Houston Rockets are a team that you're looking at there. The Golden State Warriors and the Dallas Mavericks. I did the trade tracker. I think the team that can afford to make a trade like that with the fewest pieces is the Houston Rockets. They can move Fred VanVleet at $41 million and maybe take one of their young kids and ship it off to Miami for Jimmy Butler. I think that's probably the best package. I don't know which young kid it is, but one of them on an $8 million contract. Amen Thompson, Cam Whitmore, I think is on $3 million. Jabari Smith, Shepard. They got a bunch of young kids. You could probably pick one along with the 41 from Fred. And that looks like a good package for the Miami Heat, especially if they're willing to throw on some second-round picks and stuff like that. Maybe take back a trash contract and kind of do it that way. But other than that, you look at the Golden State Warriors, and the package surrounds Wiggins or Draymond, which I know they ain't. I don't see them moving Draymond in this. I don't see that at all. I think Draymond and Bam together could be interesting in Miami, but I don't see that happening. So it's like Wiggins, and Wiggins is like a bad contract, not attached to a player that's really playing that great. You're going to move him to Miami. How does that make them better? Maybe that does replace Jimmy to a degree, but I'm not excited about it if I'm the Miami Heat. So what you going to give me? Moses Moody, his contract's fantastic. 5 years, $5 million for the next 4 years, which is a very attractive contract. I probably wouldn't move that if I'm Golden State because of it. You're going to move Kuminga. You know he wants to get paid. Is Miami going to be the team that pays him? I don't know that Golden State is really ready to move on from him. They may want to pay them themselves. You look at, Podziemski. Are you moving him if you're Golden State? Jimmy's worth moving players like that, but I'm not just going to just throw him into a trade like that just because Jimmy wants to come to Golden State. So the problem is like you're looking at Gary Payton and Andrew Wiggins as the key salary bulk that's coming toward Miami. I don't want that if I'm Miami. I'm cool. That's not attractive to me. So you're gonna throw in a bunch of young players that are gonna have to be paid, or throw in Moses Moody, who I would like if I'm Miami. But like, if I'm giving up Jimmy, and there are other teams that I could send him to, that package don't look that good to me. So Golden State is all but out in my opinion. I don't think that's realistic. And then the last team is the Dallas Mavericks. They could do something similar to what Houston can do. The problem is they're moving Kyrie to do it. I ain't moving Kyrie for Jimmy Butler. Not if I'm the Dallas Mavericks, not with what they've been able to accomplish together. So now you look at the other salary matches. How are you going to do this? Well, you're going to move Gafford and combination of P.J. Washington? Hell no, because without those two, you don't even get to the finals. You need the center position straight. It's those triple centers and Kyrie that make you guys as good enough to get to the finals if you're the Dallas Mavericks. So if I'm extracting those bigs to make salary matches for Jimmy Butler, now I got Jimmy, Kyrie, and Luka without any front court protection. No centers, but then but Lively, who's likely going to get hurt at some point because Lively hasn't been able to prove he can really stay healthy. So you got to keep Gafford, got to keep PJ to keep that triple front court monster that ultimately makes Dallas different. And for the team that had so many front court issues just 2-3 years ago, there's no way I'm going backwards just so I can bring in Jimmy Butler. That's not happening. So the problem with Jimmy's list is that his list doesn't look very attractive to the teams that are ultimately going to be having to trade for him. In a sense that they have to give away multiple pieces, some of which they probably don't want to give up, so that they can make the salary match pieces look like a good presentable package for Jimmy Butler. You see what I'm saying? Now I got to start digging in my young players' pockets to get them out of here. I don't want to move those guys for Jimmy Butler. Jimmy brings a lot to the table, but Jimmy is a small forward. So it's like the teams that he wants to go to, they could use the upgraded small forward, but not at the expense of their young talent and their front court in most of these situations. So it's like I don't think Jimmy's going to any of those teams on that list unless Houston just decides Fred VanVleet should be on the move for Jimmy Butler, which in my opinion I would probably do. Problem is, maybe you don't think you have that point guard in place. I think there's an argument Houston definitely has that point guard in place, but maybe they don't. You see what I'm saying? So that's what it becomes. It becomes a tricky situation to where if you think Sterling Shepard's ready to play that position, then you can replace Fred VanVleet. If you think Amon Thompson's a starting point guard in the NBA, then maybe you trade Fred VanVleet. But if you don't believe that, you probably should hold on. You probably look a little better right now. And for a team that's at the top of the Western Conference, right behind OKC last I checked, they probably shouldn't be making any massive moves for any forwards when they have plenty of forwards. Amon Thompson probably is a forward. You know, Jashawn Tate is a forward. Cam Whitmore, forward. Like, you see what I'm saying? Dylan Brooks, forward. And if they're not moving Fred VanVleet, then you're going to be moving Dylan Brooks. You're going to be moving Steven Adams. And then you got to pull a bunch of kids out of their pockets to make it make sense for Miami to move Jimmy. You see what I'm saying? So it's like Fred's probably the easiest path. But if I move Fred, am I not out of small forward, out of point guards? And if I don't move Fred, then I'm moving a bunch of garbage, which means I might have to attach a bunch of picks or some of these young guys. So that's really the thing right there, man. That's really the thing. If I'm Houston, I'm not interested in moving young guys. Maybe one or maybe a pick or two in place of having to move one. But I still got to have $8 million with the salary. So let's say you're willing to do Fred VanVleet, and maybe I say I don't want to give up any picks or any kids. Okay, I put a first round pick on it, and then you could take like Jashawn Tate, Steven Adams, and then you add some salary to that on your side, Miami, so that the salary matches. You see what I'm saying? That's how the package will look. If Houston decides they don't want to give up any young players and are more rather interested in trading a first round pick or something. So that's why it's like, yo, Jimmy's list looks great if you don't know anything about making trades. But if you know anything about making trades, that list is not going to be where he lands. He's not going to land on that list. Now, when it comes to the LA Lakers, let's just say the Lakers become a part of this conversation, which they are not. But let's say they do. The easiest and most attractive salary matches are expiring D'Lo, Austin Reeves, and Rui Hachimura. That'll get you right there. You can, in theory, swap those three players and grab Jimmy Butler. If you want to leave Austin out of it, then you're talking about moving all types of stuff that they probably don't want. Vanderbilt, Jackson Hayes, both of which are hurt right now, so you ain't going to be able to move them any damn way. Gabe Vincent, send him back to Miami. I know all of us would love that. I'm not sure Miami would be interested in that at this point. Jalen Hood-Schifino at $3 million, obviously somebody you're probably going to throw in there. Max Lewis, probably somebody you have to throw in there. That'd get you like $6 million. So you're moving like 6 bodies if you're not willing to throw in Rui or Austin. You're moving like 6, 7 bodies. And for a team that's shallow, you're not going to do that. Not to bring in Jimmy. I do like the idea of having Jimmy, but at $48 million, it's a little risky in terms of the salary matches. And, of course, they're probably going to want both picks if they're doing a deal with the Lakers. And, it just gets to a point where it's like it's probably not going to be something that that many people on the Lakers side of things in that front office going to be wanting to do. Jimmy's a bit older. I still think he's got a lot of star power in him. I think you put him next to AD and Bron, I think it could be dynamic on the court. Off the court, I think Jimmy's going to be tired of them too rather quickly. If I'm being honest with you, I don't think the personalities rats that much. Jimmy's hard work, let's go get it at all times. These dudes, Bron and AD, they laissez-faire. And I think that's why he left them off the list. I think that's exactly why he left the Lakers off the list, because it looks like a clown show over here from afar. And while I'm sure Jimmy would love to be here if Bron wasn't here, that Bron is here, I don't think Jimmy wants to be in this. I don't think this is type. You saw how things went when he was in Philly calling people out, in Minnesota calling people out. He come over here and the politics make it so that he going to be shunned for calling people out. That's going to go bad fast. On the court, if they can make it work, it'll definitely look good, because that gives us a third star that we can trust, probably vault us into contention. The problem is they're going to probably fall short of contention status because it's going to implode based on their personalities. I do not think that's a good idea. I don't think it's a good idea. Would I love to have Jimmy Butler in the purple and gold in some capacity? Yes. But while Bron is here and the whole thing with this team tending not to be able to find confidence against Denver and find confidence against Sacramento and going on this long losing streak and kind of just moping their head, no, Jimmy go run straight through them. They're going to be ready to fight him or kick him out the door or shun him from the locker room or whatever version of that they're going to do. And Jimmy ain't the personality for that. I'm just telling you right now, he too real for this. I'm just being honest. He too real. He gonna start talking about things going on in that front office. You ain't gonna want Jimmy around. We are. The fans gonna love him. But the front office and how they ought to operate and this and that, Jimmy don't come off the type of dude that's gonna let y'all do all of that without him raising hell if he starts losing. You know? AD fall in line. Bron got it sewed up with the leverage. You bring in the Jimmy Butler in here and he gonna run like Tasmanian devil, all through that front office, all through their coaching staff. Anybody looking crazy out here, he's gonna point you out. So you know what I mean? It's already been proven in Minnesota. It's already been proven. So I would tell the Lakers stay away from Jimmy. I would tell Jimmy stay away from the Lakers. You ain't gonna be happy here, brother. You not. We'll be happy with you. The fans will be ready to get all of this crap out the door and leave you, and we'll, you know what I'm saying? But you're not ready for a rebuild. It's just not the environment. I wish it were different, man. I'm going to be honest with you. As a Laker fan, I'm really disappointed in how this thing is going with Bron and AD. You know, you just want them to be more doggish, to be a dog out there. You know what I mean? This type of losing that we've been doing this season, it really eats away at your confidence in their personalities as it pertains to going hard. You know, we've seen glimpses of issues over the years, stuff like that, but them more or less quitting on J.J. Redick this early, you know, it's just a bad look. And you saw the situation with Russell Westbrook. Jimmy ain't Russell Westbrook. Jimmy gonna punch somebody. You know what I mean? It's not gonna go the Westbrook route. So y'all start acting like that with Jimmy. It's a different energy. I know that already. So that's why I don't think Jimmy should look at the Lakers, and I don't think the Lakers should look at Jimmy. You know, if we didn't have this politic cloud in here, I'd say, yeah, let's bring in Jimmy Butler. He'd get us over the top. We go to the finals. But the reality is, the way y'all got this Laker thing set up, it is a bad mix. It's a bad mix, and you got to give up some real stuff that you don't want to give up in order to make it make sense for the Miami Heat. And so that's why I don't bring in that personality. So that's my point of view, man. I just think personalities and locker room stuff is sensitive. And Jimmy is a very unique individual. And he's going to, if he lands in the right spot, he's going to win. I don't see Jimmy Butler ending his career without a championship. I don't see it. I think he's going to go somewhere. He's going to get a championship. Question is he going to be able to land in one of the spaces he believes he can get one in? And the answer is, I have real doubts, unless it's Houston. I think Houston might be willing to do something like that. I think Houston could be improving their team if they do something like that. But I just don't know if the salary matches are going to make sense for their franchise. I don't know. Golden State, I'd love to see Jimmy and Steph. That'd be cool, but I don't think I don't think that's a spot to win a championship. Not for Jimmy. Draymond, Jimmy, Steph could be crazy, but I still don't think it's good enough to beat OKC. I still don't know that it's good enough to beat just the field in the West. I don't know that. I think Houston, with all the multiple pieces of youngsters that they have, could be a bit more full of a team. They're a better team than Golden State Warriors, in my opinion. They're just a better team. So that's what that really comes down to. And the Dallas Mavericks, like I said, if I'm swapping Kyrie for Jimmy, I probably don't see that as getting me over the hump. It's almost lateral. Jimmy's a little better defensively, but Kyrie's a little better offensively. So give or take, they're probably about the same thing right now, just in different ways. I'm holding on to Kai. You know what I mean? I'm holding on to Kai, and I'm definitely holding on to my centers. So if I'm Dallas, I'm cool, Jimmy. Thank you, but nah, we're not gonna do that. So that's my point of view. I don't know if that's what they're gonna think, you know, but this is just how I'm looking at it. Um, Milwaukee, I think, is a team that I probably, Dame for Jimmy probably looks like something that could happen. I don't know if Dame has the same feeling about Miami if Jimmy ain't there, but if I'm a Milwaukee Bucks, they've been on a winning streak, so maybe they, might have turned the corner in their mind, and I don't know if they'd be capable of doing a trade like that, given the fact that they're over the apron. They're probably not even capable of doing something, but I would imagine they wouldn't mind doing something like that. I'd imagine they wouldn't. Um, Clippers, I don't think they can move $48 million worth of salary, but if I were them, I'd try. I'd try. Kawhi Leonard, I would try, man. I think the Clippers should do that. I really do. But I don't think Miami should bring back Kawhi necessarily. You always believe in Kawhi Leonard, the player, but Kawhi Leonard, the injury-prone player, you be wise to leave in Clipper land. Everybody should leave him there. But the Clippers should try to move him to anywhere just the same. So if they could get involved in something like this, I would try. The Pelicans are in the toilet, but they do have the trade pieces. Maybe they could be a third team to help make it make more sense for another team that would otherwise try to do it. I see the Pelicans maybe being involved in this trade, but not the landing spot for Jimmy. Keep an eye open for the Pelicans because they really should probably shed salary. You got CJ McCollum. Your team is like 110 games. You're well on your way to tanking, probably get Ace Bailey or something like that. You don't need to go forward all this salary. It's probably best to just blow it all up. Keep the young guys. Keep your Trigger Murphy. Keep your Hawkins. Keep your Yves Messi. But Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, CJ McCollum, you probably move those dudes. DeJounte Murray you just got. So I don't know that you're quick to move him, but just the same, he's a salary on a team that's tanking. They could probably really get first-round picks for all that stuff. Like, if I'm the Pelicans, I'm rebuilding. I'm moving all of the stuff that's on salary. I'm getting all of it out of here. Brandon Ingram just twisted his ankle again. Boy can't stay healthy to save his soul. I don't know when he's coming back, but whatever type of money he think he's going to get, I don't know if Clutch going to be able to save him from these injury concerns that ultimately are going to follow him where his next destination is. I don't know if they're going to be able to make a move. If he doesn't come back before the trade deadline, they definitely won't. And from what I understand, his brain is bad. So it's a nightmare season for the Pelicans, but it's a blessing in disguise because the chances are they're going to be in the mix for a top player. And they do have their pick this year. So, and they're getting our pick too. Actually, no. No, they're not. They traded that to Atlanta, forgive me. So, whatever. Point is, if I'm Pelicans, I'm moving anything on salary, bro. I'm getting all that crap out of here. All of it. And I'm holding on to Brandon Boston and the names already mentioned. They really do have a nice package of young players behind those salaries that makes their rebuild really attractive to them if they can move the players on salary for stuff that can look as they want it to look, whatever that looks like. So yeah, I'm offloading, man. It's a fire sale in New Orleans, and I could totally see some of that stuff landing in Miami in a 3-team deal or something like that. Another team that I would say interesting for Jimmy. It's a lot of them, to be honest with you. I don't think Jimmy. The problem with Jimmy is his $48 million contract. The good thing is you probably don't look at him as the problem in terms of that contract. He ain't the problem. It's the other stuff that has to come to Miami in the form of $48 million that in most cases is not pretty. Most of that stuff is not pretty. All over the league. Any cluster of $48 million, chances are it's overpaid role players, injury-prone guys over the hump, bunch of trash. The NBA has done a terrible job giving guaranteed money to garbage. I'm not going to lie to you. Just from place to place to place, you're going to see a lot of garbage in that $48 million package range. It's not good. So picks are coming to Miami if they take back any of those things that I see in my mind's eye. Uh, Sacramento's always a team to pay attention to. They're always looking to upgrade. Um, always, always. So keep an eye open for Sac. The Knicks are always intriguing. I think they're set though. I think they're set, but they're always intriguing. They could always make a move. Minnesota, Minnesota is a team I think at this point where if you can move Julius Randle, obviously the kid DiVincenzo doesn't want to be there. I flipped him to Miami, bring Jimmy back to Minnesota. He's been there before. Jimmy and Anthony Edwards is amazing. Anthony wasn't there when Jimmy was having those issues. Carl is out the door. I don't know if that's more or less lateral, but I'm intrigued by the killer instinct of Jimmy Butler and Anthony Edwards. That is intriguing. A lot more intriguing than Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo. I'll tell you that. I don't know if Miami's interested in expiring contract of Julius or looking to reset and repay Julius or whatever. I don't know, but if I'm Minnesota, I'm making the call, man. I'm making the call. I don't know if that's enough to get it done because I ain't checked the contracts there. I don't know exactly what that looks like to get him to 48, but you put Jimmy Butler, Anthony Edwards, McDaniels, Rudy Gobert. You got a hell of a defensive team, man. You got a hell of a defensive team, and you got some killers down there at that forward position. Killers down the stretch of basketball games. You're not going to lose too much. You're really not. You ain't going to lose too much. And as I've said many times with the Minnesota Timberwolves, they got players behind Julius that are ready to go. Nas Reed is ready to go. So it's like that. If I'm Minnesota, I'm making that move. If I can do that, I'm doing it. I'm not. You're going to see him move to Minnesota. That's what I'm going to do if I'm the Minnesota Timberwolves. I'm moving Jimmy. I'm bringing Jimmy back. I'm bringing it back to a situation he'll likely respect much more than the time he was here last. He can play there. He's already done it. So, yeah, I'm bringing it back. That's one situation. What else, man? I don't know. I think Philadelphia would have been interesting if they weren't in the dumps. Sort of like New Orleans. They're in the dumps, though, so he's not going to those places. Brooklyn, no. They got the package to a degree. You could see them maybe being a third team, moving salary, but as far as him wanting to land in Brooklyn, I don't see him ever wanting to do that. No. And they're tanking anyway, so that don't really make sense to me. So, I'm sure there's some teams that I'm not thinking of right now, for sure, that could be involved in this Jimmy Butler sweepstakes. But as far as the three teams he wants to go to, I don't see it. San Antonio's interesting. I didn't know what they got necessarily in forms of salaries to move to Miami, but they got the picks if the players aren't that attractive. I think anytime you bring in something win now to Wemby, you're doing a good job. I also hear rumors that LaMelo Ball could be moving to San Antonio, although I don't think there's much weight to those rumors. But that San Antonio has the package to go get something like that is definitely true. They got the package. They got plenty of picks, and that should be why they can do something like that. OKC, I don't see making a move like that for Jimmy. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Is what I say to OKC. You got so much good going on. There's no reason to do anything at all. I wouldn't. Yeah. So yeah, just keep an eye open for Minnesota and San Antonio. Those are teams that are coming to mind that I think could really make a move for Jimmy that Jimmy's not thinking about, that he might not be unhappy with going to. Those are two teams that come to mind quickly. I think that could be a thing. I don't see Cleveland moving any of their pieces to get Jimmy, since everything's working right now. I think they could use an upgrade at the small forward position, but I don't know that they're not downgrading severely at other positions to make the salary work. And you got to move Jared Allen or something like that. I'm probably not doing that if I'm Cleveland. You got to move Garland or something. Garland's contract ain't great, but I'm probably not doing that if I'm Cleveland either. Not with the way their team is playing. But I'm looking at teams that look good, that are winning right now, that he could potentially go to. Orlando would have been cool, but you got to wonder where their season is going. Uh, he don't even got to move out of state if he stays with the Magic. But I just don't know that they are the team that he would go to with their 2 stars out this season, both of them. But when they come back, that's a contender now. You put Jimmy Butler on the Orlando Magic without moving Franz, without moving Paolo, they're a contender. Question is, what are the salary matches? You got to move Suggs. I'm not moving Suggs necessarily the way he's playing. They just signed him. Probably going to hold on to Suggs. They're probably happy with Suggs. So what are they moving? I don't know that they have the salary matches without moving stuff they don't want to move. And like I said, Franz and Paolo are out, and you're obviously not moving either one of them. So I think Orlando could be intriguing depending on what the salary matches look like. I think that could be intriguing. I think that could be intriguing for Jimmy. He could be enough to put them over the hump, but they just got to be able to get there. And with those 2 players out for seemingly a month from now or whatever, he didn't put them on the list for a reason. So, yeah, man, that's the kind of stuff I'm thinking about, man. I definitely don't see Boston doing nothing like that. There's no reason for a team like that to do anything. So, yeah, man, that's where my head goes. The rest of these teams, a lot of teams are tanking squads like Portland. Maybe they could do something like that, but Jimmy ain't going there. So the options are limited, and his list isn't attractive to the Heat. So I would not be surprised if Jimmy doesn't go anywhere in this apron era. I could see him being a Heat through the trade deadline. I don't know that it's as realistic as people think. Not right now. BDL 44. I thank you all for watching.